It's already up. Hi, sorry. So I've been sitting here for a while and Scott was struggling over there. But I think we've got it figured out. And we were having a rousing production discussion. And so we're running a little late. I guess you can run late online too. And look, we were repainting the studio. We were hurriedly repainting the studio. Um, we did it actually. We didn't do it all. Someone came in and did it last week. So we have new colors in our studio. It's all bright and cheery and fun. Maybe you like that. Scott put a highlights type chat in the chat saying, what differences do you notice? Maybe there are some people who wouldn't notice, but I definitely would notice a change in colors. And now I just told you the answer. Um, it's Saturday, August 7th. Scott and I are here this week, and we won't be here next week. We're going to take a little vacation, and Scott will remind you about this at the end. Um, and we've selected a recorded class. For those of you who sign up through Pilates on Harrison, you'll still get a link to a recorded class next week. If you're a YouTube subscriber, you could go sign up for class at Pilates on Harrison and get that same link, or you could just search half and half and find your own that you want to do next week if you'd like. But then we'll be back in 2 weeks. But today, what should we do today? I just wanted to say that because I know some people are like, it's over. I'm not going to listen to the announcements. Today, let's just do some mindful movement. And yeah, let's start on your back. So knees bent, feet flat. And settle everything into the floor. So I don't know what it's like where you are, but here it's pretty sticky, pretty hot. And sometimes when it's sticky and hot, it's hard to really like settle into your body because your body is just like a little uncomfortable. But see if you can do it anyway. Just kind of drop into it. Feel whatever you feel. Maybe there's a little stickiness on your skin. A little bit of sweatiness, but also that sweatiness is good for you. It's got some oils in your skin. And the ability to sweat is really great for your body. And settling into your breath. Sometimes the air, when it's humid, it's a little thicker coming in, right? Feels a little thicker. Still easy breath down into your pelvis, down into your lower back, and all around through your ribs. And then how does your head and neck feel? The head is a pretty heavy part of your body. And there's a lot of tension in the neck muscles all the time to just hold it up. And there can be tension in your jaw from talking, from eating, from thinking. So while you have the opportunity to rest with your head on the floor, can you dive in a little deeper to jaw tension, neck tension, forehead tension? And really let the floor support your head. And then take your hands, place them down in your belly, down below your navel, that low part of the abdominals and the pelvis. And feel how the belly moves really gently as you inhale. You don't have to force your breath into your hands. Just feel a gentle movement of the belly as you inhale. And as you exhale, feel how it softens and relaxes, drops down. At the same time, your head heavy, your forehead still relaxed. And then keeping that quality of weight and ease at the end of your exhale or towards the second half of your exhale, allow a little bit of tone in your abdominals. So it's not that hard grabbing and pushing and gripping. The exhale starts easy, and as you get a little lower, you start to feel some deep tone. It's like a widening in the belly and a flattening, like when water pours and just shapes into the floor, right? It just spreads into the floor. And let your abdominals engage in that same spreading way, deep and wide. And let it go on the inhale. And allow that very subtle action on the exhale. And again, as the belly comes on, does your jaw grip? Does your neck start to tighten? It's a little too much in the belly if your neck starts to tighten. And then third step in the progression, that healthy tone you have in your belly on the exhale, can you keep it on the inhale? Now, it doesn't mean your belly doesn't move at all, but it's like as you inhale and the belly lifts up a little bit, you don't lose the tone. You keep just a little of that tension. So like a brand new balloon, it blows up, but also it has some tension. An older balloon, right? It's super easy to blow up. No tension there. We don't want that. We want that new, movable but taut feeling in the belly on your inhale. Then as you exhale, a little deeper sense of the belly. Might be a smaller breath. That's okay. Now, working with that same breath, that same attention, we start the knee folds. So the abdominals work as the leg lifts and you inhale. They work as the leg lowers and you exhale. Alternating right and left. One leg up on the inhale and lower on the exhale. And I've asked you to think about a lot of things. Head, neck, release, abdominal tone, inhaling, exhaling, move a leg. It's really a lot of stuff. Even though the movement is technically simple, we've put a lot of layers into it. So maybe you can keep track of all those layers, or maybe you're just tracking one or two of those things. Either way is useful. One more each side. And next time you finish with the left foot, let all of it go. Just all those things you were thinking about, all those things you were doing, just let it go. Just relax. And then hands onto the lower ribs. So we did lower belly attention. Now we do upper abdominals. Movement of the rib cage. Hands on the ribs. First, layer one, you just breathe. Notice how your ribs move. If they move, if they feel kind of stuck, just see if you can get them moving a little bit as you inhale. Expanding, and as you exhale, they shrink a little bit. Now, layer two, can you direct the breath more specifically? Inhale goes into your back ribs, it goes into your side ribs, it goes less into your front ribs. So instead of an up and down with your inhale, exhale, there's a sideways back expansion with your inhale. Might feel like it restricts your breath a little. If it's tight in those areas, side and back ribs, that's okay. Can make your breath a little smaller. Once you feel some of that on the inhale, we add in layer three. Exhale, shoestring, shoelace, drawing the ribs together in the front. So as you exhale, the right and left half of the ribs move in towards each other. And there's that abdominal feeling again. Upper abdominals coming on to draw your ribs together. Okay, add some movement in, hands behind your head, elbows a little lifted. Inhale, moving the ribs out and back. Exhale, ribs together. Finding your abdominals. Bring your head up. Pause here. Do another one of those breath cycles. Inhale, wide, open back ribs. Exhale, ribs drawing together in the front. And then lowering back down. Pause here. Start with an inhale. Exhale. Ribs together. Floating the head up. Hands supporting your head and neck. Take another breath cycle. 2 more of those. The inhale starts on the floor. The exhale floats you up. Full breath cycle. Inhale, exhale. One more time. And then relax your hands, relax your head. And then bring yourself up to sitting. I know that was kind of a slow start in, but sometimes I think it's really nice to just get all that moving with the breath. How does the breath and the abdominals work together? Because that's such a hard concept, right? But really, really important. A lot of us use the abdominals by holding our breath, or we breathe by letting go of the abdominals. We really want to draw those two things together. We want to be able to do both. So let's keep it going. Knees bent, legs together, and feet a little flexed. Curl your pelvis under so you feel a really round spine all the way through your upper back. Grab the back of your knee, both arms. Tip everything back a little bit, but don't straighten your elbows. Don't tip back so far that your elbows are locked. So a little work in the arms always. And then starting to walk down. So we're going to take this slowly too. I go right hand, left hand, and then hold it here. Feel the exhale in your low belly and your ribs, upper and lower. Now breathe in, walk right hand, left hand, exhale, belly and ribs in. And then coming back up, inhale, open your back ribs, keep your belly working as you walk up. Exhale, hold it. Same thing again. About halfway down, we're going in 2 steps. 1, work your way down on an inhale, hold it on an exhale, and then go another way, about halfway down. Coming back up the same way. Inhale, open the back. Keep some of that work in the belly, your tight balloon. Now, we're going to go a few more times. If you want to keep going, maybe 3/4 of the way down, maybe all the way down, great. If you want to stay with halfway, stay with halfway. What helps you understand the concept better in your body? A little less, a little more. There's no right answer to how it is, but just working with the concept. So move your hands on the inhale. Stay in place on the exhale. About 1/4 of the way down with each movement. Same thing on the way up. Move on the inhale, pause on the exhale. So last one, finishing up the one you're on. And ending sitting up. I know no one ever wants to end sitting up. We always like to end lying down, right? It's nice. Okay, so let's do a little bit with that round spine work. And round spine is going to really encourage the breath going into your back a little bit more, and breathing into your belly is going to discourage your back being round, right? So we really want those two things together. So if I want to round my spine, I also want to breathe into my back, because as soon as I breathe into my belly, kind of, maybe you can even feel it, like it sort of pushes all the energy forward and makes me straighter. So once I'm here in this round spine position, can I fill up the back a little more? Can I use the breath to help open a little more? And then let's do knees bent and hands holding your knees. And then tip your weight back just a little bit. So just your toes touch the floor. Your heels are lifted. I'm going to feel my knees pressing slightly into my hands. And as my knees press slightly into my hands, my lower abdominals come on a little more. My ribs come together a little more. And then barely float your toes off the floor, right? Just enough that you could slide a piece of paper under your toes, but not not a yoga block under your toes, right? Just not a magazine under your toes, just a piece of paper. Now we take this little rocking chair movement. So inhale, you tip back like a rocking chair without falling back. Exhale, press your knees into your hands, draw your belly in, find your piece of paper with your toes. Inhale, opening the back, little tip backwards. Exhale, ribs in, belly in, toes to the paper. Nothing else in my shape is changing. My elbows don't straighten more. My knees don't move in and out. I'm a very sturdy rocking chair. And I'm not using my neck to do it. Now, you could stay with the rocking chair. I've had some questions about osteoporosis with some people. Rolling all the way back and forth and rolling like a ball, probably not the greatest if you've got some osteoporosis. So maybe the rocking chair is a great way to do it. If that's not a concern for you, you want to try the full roll. It's a great thing to do. Inhale back. Exhale. So you add a little momentum, but you keep the shape. Inhale through the back. Exhale out, find the piece of paper. One more. And then resting everything. Okay, why don't we go onto your stomach? We'll do a little spinal extension. So, legs in line with your hips or touching. You can bring them all the way together to touch. Okay, so here's another place where breathing into your belly is a little restricted, a little inhibited because the floor's there, right? So big belly breath doesn't make a lot of sense. So we have the option of the back ribs, the side ribs. We get a little bit of that support from the belly. So you could think of your belly drawing in a little bit like we did on your back, that wide tone. Ribs drawing together in the front. Sometimes I think of my abdominals lifting up off my t-shirt, but not like so high that it changes the shape of my pelvis, right? So it's just like my belly came up off my shirt a little bit. Yeah. Find that tone. Then ribs together as you exhale. And a couple breaths here, breathing through your back, trying to find that feeling. Without losing the tone in the belly. And then starting to come up, keep all that. Inhale, lift your head and your chest. Exhale. As you press your hands, you draw the ribs in a little more, keep the belly a little more lifted. And then inhale, opening the back a little bit here. Exhale, coming down. Now you might just come up halfway. You might come up however far you want, however far you're comfortable. Not a rule. Baby swan, adolescent swan, adult swan, it's up to you. Exhale, ribs together, belly lifted. Inhale, keep the tone in the belly. Exhale down. One more. And then pushing up to hands and knees. And coming back into child's pose. And rolling up to sitting. Okay, folks. I will pass the torch off to Mr. Anderson. Sometimes we're very formal. I call him Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Thank you, Ms. Stewart. So a lot of what you worked on your backs, let's now bring that idea forward into standing. So feet comfortably hip width apart. And if you remember those three vectors, I use the term vectors. So with the out breath, ribs draw together, lightly maintain that connection. With the out breath, the ribs lightly draw down toward your belly. Lightly maintain that connection. And then with the out breath, the ribs lightly draw toward the back of your body. Maintain that connection. And maintaining those three connections, or those three vectors, will automatically align pelvis, abdomen, and thorax. So see if you can maintain that pelvis, abdomen, thorax alignment as you now bring your neck and head into that same vertical axis. All right, lightly hold that alignment. Sometimes alignment can get very tense, so we end up taking one step forward, improving alignment, 2 steps back by doing so with a tightness. So loosely maintain that rib connection. Lightly maintain your core axial alignment. And now let's challenge that alignment. Bring both arms forward. And then see if you can maintain the alignment as you bring both arms up. Notice how those lower ribs tend to fly forward. To whatever extent you could bring your arms up. Let's hold here for 3 breaths. And arms down. Apologies, I have something in my throat. So now let's see if you can maintain that torso alignment, including neck and head, as we make some lower body movements. Step your feet wide apart. Turn both your legs out a bit. And maintaining that core body axial alignment. Exhale, bend your ankles, hips, and knees. And then inhale, come up. Now, maybe you already noticed there's quite a significant variable here. In that this movement is not maintaining the verticality of your torso. Torso comes a little bit forward. So this multi-joint, multi-plane movement, maintaining connection, pelvis, abdomen, thorax, neck, head, using the same technique Colette shared with you, using your breath to support that alignment. One more down and up. Turn both feet back to the front. And we'll pause here for a moment. All right. So by default, maybe you've already noticed, your pelvis is horizontal. And your spine, your core axis, is vertical. So see if you can maintain both those the case as you turn your left foot in and your right foot out. And see if you can maintain that horizontalness, verticality as you bend and as you straighten. Match that to your breath. Exhale. Inhale. The next time, knee in the bent position, pause there. Remember how you used your breath to help reinforce the alignment of your torso. So now let's have a little bit of fun with it. See if you can maintain that torso alignment as you bring both arms forward. I know that's not typically what we do here, is it? And see if you can maintain that vertical alignment as you take your arms up. As you take your arms up, forward, and down. Inhale up, back to the front. Few breaths here. By default, pelvis is generally horizontal. Spine in general is vertical. So maintaining that alignment as you turn your right foot in, as you turn your left foot out. Maintain that alignment as you bend and as you straighten. Remember, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Alignment that arises from tension is not worth much. Yes, the optimal alignment may theoretically take some strain off your joints and your muscles. But if you're holding the perfect alignment with tension, in my experience, it's really useless. So let's do a couple more movements here and see if you can find that interface of gently aligning your body without tensing muscles to hold that alignment. Next time that knee in the bent position, pause there. See if you can maintain that alignment as you bring both arms forward. And a quality of curiosity. Maybe your arms don't go straight up toward the ceiling. To what extent can you lift your arms up, maintaining the horizontalness of your pelvis, and relatedly the verticality of your spine? Take your arms out, up, forward, and down. Inhale up, turn back to the front, and then step your feet together. So remember when you started off on the floor? The floor gave you feedback in the placement of your torso. So recall what that felt like. The same spine alignment rather than in the horizontal, in the vertical. So see if you can maintain that alignment as you bring your hands to your hips. As you take your left foot back, not very far. And let's add in some movement. Left heel with the inhale, lift up, moving your torso forward as a result. Exhale, heel down. Forward and back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. The next time that back heel lifted, let's pause there for a bit. With your back heel lifted, pelvis, abdomen, thorax, neck, head, loosely aligned. And see if you can maintain this placement of your core body axis as you reach your left heel back and down to help open up the front of your hip. Where so many of us hold life slings and arrows. Right, releasing your iliopsoas muscle. Then bring both arms forward. And just like we've explored a few times, take your arms up. And bring your arms down. And return to standing. Second side, take your right foot back. Right heel, lift it with the inhale, propel forward. Exhale, descend it down to rock back. Hey, all you rock and rollers, we're coming forward and back. In gym class, I think it was 7th grade, maybe 8th grade, we had a dance unit. A whole unit of adolescent awkwardness, at least for me. And we did this movement. Maybe that's where it ended up in my somatic memory. It was only later in life that I recognized, hey, this is a really cool movement for releasing held tension in the iliopsoas. So next time that back heel is lifted, let's pause there. Take a moment here to align pelvis, abdomen, thorax, neck, and head. We did not do this in gym class. The best you can, maintain that alignment and help release your right iliopsoas. Telescope your right heel back and down. Then bring both arms forward. Sweep both arms up. Steady breathing. And arms forward, down, back to your hips, and step forward. All right, so let's use a partial sun salutation to make our way to the floor. Remember that imagery of broadening your back with the inhale? Inhale like that. Then remember the imagery here. Exhale, use that imagery as you sweep your arms up. Inhale, broaden your back as you fold forward. Maybe you'll notice folding forward facilitates that sense. Exhale, thoracic extension, gorilla. And then step back with the inhale. And here we are in yoga pose, head down dog. Let's hold for a few breaths. And then come on down, all the way down into sitting. Let's spend a few minutes here working on mobility. So let's start off with knees bent, feet flat upon the floor. And so either hands or elbows catching your knees. And then take your two sitting bones, root them down to hold your head up high. So let's first work with a bit of hip mobility. Join your soles together. Hands could either be holding your feet or they could be back behind you, either one. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. So lightly contact your feet together, not so much pulling your knees down to the floor. Take your left knee to the left, your right knee to the right. Few breaths here. And both knees up, both legs forward. Now, it's the case for almost everybody, is that their hip flexors really tense up. Root your sitting bones down to lift up through the crown of your head. And then see if you can relax those hip flexor muscles. Because when they're overworking, it's indicative that the belly muscles are underworking. A few more breaths here, practicing using your belly to support the vertical axis rather than clenching your hip flexors to attempt to do so. Then, to whatever extent your hip flexor is released, now deeper hip flexion, and then add in spinal flexion, lumbar flexion, thoracic flexion, and neck flexion. So you end up looking right down between your legs. If you have osteopenia or osteoporosis, not so much. Spine flexion, a little bit, goes a long way. A few more breaths here. And just like a child would stack their blocks to make a tower, stack your vertebra from bottom to top to make a tower. Now let's combine the last two things that we did. Bring your right knee in. Take that knee straight out toward the side. Hip flexion. lumbar flexion, thoracic flexion, cervical flexion. And then come on back up to the vertical, stack your vertebra from bottom to top as you come up. Both feet forward. Fingertips or palms on the floor. Practice rooting down to lift up. Shoulder blades gently up against your back ribs. As best you can, releasing your thigh bones down to help relax hip flexor tension. Second side. Bring your left leg in. Take that left knee straight out toward the side. Hip flexion, lumbar flexion, thoracic flexion, cervical flexion. A few more breaths here. And rolling up, stacking your lumbar vertebra one atop the other. Thoracic vertebra one atop the other. Cervical vertebra one atop the other. And then place your head directly above the rest of your spine. Both feet forward. Fingertips or palms on the floor. Few breaths here. All right, then moving into a twist. So coming back to knees bent, feet flat upon the floor. Take your left foot forward. Left arm comes across. Twisting to your right. All the same stuff holds true. Then back in toward the middle. Switch legs. Twist to your left. And back in toward the middle. All right. So find a seated position. We do some breathing exercises. So could be sitting on the floor. Could be sitting up on a cushion or a folded blanket. For most people, they do best sitting up on a chair. So whether floor, cushion, blanket, chair, it's really a continuation of all the same elements. So to start with the pelvis, we tend to default to sit on the back of the sitting bones, more on the tailbone. So roll more toward the center, even a little bit toward the front of your sitting bones to locate your pelvis. And the cool thing is when pelvis is aligned, abdomen generally ends up directly above pelvis. But then we get to the rib cage and all bets are off. Most people have a significant horizontal displacement the relationship of thorax to abdomen. Let's take a few moments. You know what to do here with your lower ribs and how to use the breath to support that dynamic alignment. And place your neck above your thorax. Gently stack your head above your neck. But I think you're working too hard. Right? Even the perfect alignment, if there's tension involved, isn't beneficial. All right. Lightly maintain this alignment here. Breathe out. Breathe deeply in. Out. In. Out. And in. All right. Now let go of the deep breathing. All right. Time flies. So, a couple things to build upon what Colette said at the outset. We're going to take a bit of a holiday, which we haven't done for a while. Even when we've traveled, we've taken all the filming gear with us and tried to keep up with you from a distance. And we're going to take the next 10 days and unplug, and really excited about that. It'll be the first unplugging since the pandemic began. So we aren't going to leave you. We have archived footage and some of the classes we consider our best of, and those be accessible to you. So those of you who are subscribers at Pilates on Harrison, it's going to be the same way to get the links to sign up for the class, and the links will land in your inbox next Saturday morning. Those of you who watch via YouTube will be here, albeit a slightly different version of us and a slightly different version of this studio. So before we part today, any comments or questions?
No, but if people do want to sign up for this class and they are not used to doing it that way, so they get the link, I'm going to put the link to sign up.
Great. Colette is putting the link to sign up for next week's class up in the chat. So great to be here with you, and we look forward to seeing you on the other side of our little holiday. Talk to you later.